Hi, everyone. Welcome for joining us in this live transmission. We will be sharing also this video later on, edited, so that it can reach as many people as possible, also through my YouTube channel and my platforms in Facebook and so forth. So thank you for joining us. Today we have two very special guests with us, Trevor Grassi and Alessandra Da Pra Love. We are gathered here to talk about a very, very, very special topic for all of us, which is the unspoken story of Amarna, also known in the ancient Khemet as Akhenaten. And I'm quite sure that a lot of you that are already watching this transmission feel a little bit, at least, connected with the story of Akhenaten and Nefertiti, this very polemic pharaoh that there are many stories related to him and his family, his story, how he dealt with all the Egyptian priesthood of Ammon and so forth. So before going there, again, welcome Trevor, welcome Alessandra.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes. I don't want to miss that Trevor has been doing a remarkable job in Egypt, at many layers, not only ancient technology research wise, also in this kind of topics related to hermetism, to to mystery schools teachings and all the encoded information in the temples. So thank you, Trevor, for what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of what I'm working on definitely crosses over into a lot of it's focused on Giza really, but Amarna has definitely been a topic very close to my heart. I've been looking at pretty deep for a lot of years, and I've come up with learned a lot of this story, but then looked deeper into different sources. And yeah, when you first brought this up and said let's talk about Amarna, I was like, absolutely. That's a topic we could go deep on, do many broadcasts on, I'm sure. And yeah, I know you and I have been talking for a long time. Sean and I, we met at the Galactic Spiritual Informers connection, and got to talk a bit there, which was really cool. But yeah, I would also introduce Alessandra a little bit. Is that I've been talking with her for several years on social media, and we've just been getting into Amarna. But when I went down to Luxor, I got to spend a whole day with Alessandra. We went all over the West Bank, and this is an area that's not generally associated with Akhenaten or Amarna, but the fact is there is history there from before he moved and set up his whole city. Um, and yeah, Akhenaten is just central to Egypt in terms of geographically. He built his kingdom right in the middle, right between the south and the north, which was so emblematic of his whole message of unity. But
Yes.
he was also like in the middle of the timeline, the 18th dynasty. It's kind of, uh, excuse me, it's kind of right in the middle as well of the whole timeline of Egypt. So yeah, very exciting topic.
Yes. Yes, it definitely is. And just to tell you all about a little bit of my story with Amarna. From the first time that I went to Egypt, I felt the calling of Akhenaten. And it wasn't a calling through research, it was just seeing his face and then started communicating with him. Then I started to research a little bit about him, asking about him. And the beautiful thing is that in Egypt, they have so much love for him. Like you ask all the Bedouin, our friends, our family, well, I call them family, my Bedouin friends and the people there, my people as well, and yeah, they share so much love for Akhenaten. And it's even like there is this flare of waiting for him to return at some point. You know, his teachings, his ways. It's a very Christic kind, a very, the frequency of a Christic consciousness, you know, of that being that revolutionizes history, that brings unity, that brings truth, that brings righteousness, and that the story at some point becomes incomplete. And then through that incompletion, there is this longing for that embodied being to come back. And I do believe that part of that message is embodying that unity consciousness, that unified consciousness within. You know, I do feel that that is the main teaching, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, there's a lot of crossover to all the later religions and to monotheism. He was basically the foundation stone of all that would come later. That's tied with there's a lot of what Alessandra and I have been talking about too, is how it's tied in with the group called the Essenes, which Jesus was actually an Essene. Yeshua, he was which was a Jewish sect, but they were like a mystery school and very interesting teachings, very pristine, pure. Strict set of protocols they lived by. Is a very interesting part of the history. But yeah, it does tie into Jewish, Christian, even Muslim history. All of that is blended together in Amarna, which makes it such an interesting topic too. Um, but yeah, maybe I was gonna say maybe Alessandra, you could just introduce yourself a little bit before we start getting too deep into it. If you want
Please.
to say hi at least and
Okay. Hi, everyone. And
Hi.
my favorite topic.
yeah.
So, on the earthly, in my life, I worked as a nurse, a general nurse, and a psychiatric nurse, but I studied Reiki and crystal healing and, the usual for a kind of people. But 11 years of age, which is like over 60 years ago, I saw a very old Hollywood movie called The Egyptian. And it was the story of Sinuhe. But I don't know what the person who wrote this book, I think his name was Walter Mikari. It was the story of Sinuhe, but Sinuhe actually lived in the 12th dynasty with Amenemhet the first and Senwosret the first. But he chose, for whatever reason, instead of those kings, to place Akhenaten in his book. And I was 11, and sorry, I remember sitting by the coffee table. Bear with me, sorry. Sitting by the coffee table, and I remember how I was sitting, seeing the beginning of this movie where Akhenaten was bowed in prayer to the rising sun of Theaten. And later on, there were various scenes in the movie, and I couldn't explain as an 11-year-old child the feelings that I had in my body, but it affected me greatly. And from that day forward, I was very passionate about Akhenaten, and read whatever I could, and had this longing for many years to go to Amarna. And I've been back twice, in 2010 and 2017, but not for long enough, because you've got the security police, and I had grand visions of wandering at will and enjoying myself being there. But one day I'll have more time. So Akhenaten, yes, and I agree with everything. Like, he taught unity consciousness. And I was just, what you said, Trevor, I was just sitting here thinking today, like, we know it was the middle of Egypt. And yes, one of the reasons was the balance, the harmony, the bringing the two together into union.
Yeah, bridging the past and the future, as well as the North and the South all at once.
The North and the South. And I also, if you give me 5 minutes at some point, I'll talk about, I was talking about the 12th and the 18th dynasties, the connections, the
Yeah,
Eyes of Horus.
very
So I can
important.
do that now or later. That's up to Yssa. It's just a little
However you
story that I
feel
have.
like, however you feel like, do you want to talk about the dynasties you said?
Well, if you have 5 minutes, yes, please. Because
Well,
there's definitely, yes, Trevor?
well, I was just going to say
There's
that's a very important topic related to Akhenaten that I've actually never heard anyone else talk about. It is one of the things that you told me about, which was very interesting to me because we were talking about, Akhenaten was the root, the source of so much of this stuff to come later in monotheism and all of that. But there was this, it seemed like it was kind of an echo from the 12th dynasty that potentially there was a lot of the same souls or a lot of the same teachings,
yes,
kind of
yes.
had this little thing um, that ended up coming back for a bigger version of that in the
Hmm.
18th. So yeah,
Yes,
that's
please,
I would love to hear more about that.
please do,
Okay,
Alessandra.
okay. So 5 minutes, that's all. So when I was in my early 20s, and this is in the days of von Daniken, when Chariots of Gods first came out, and there were like hardly any books about this sort of thing. So I was in my early 20s, and like it was the early 70s, I think. And I was in like a small local newsagent. And I saw these two books on the shelf. One was called The Eyes of Horus, and it also had the second book, which was called The Lord of the Horizon. Now, these were written by Joan Grant, who had far memory. So these two books are about her lifetime as Ra-Ab-Hotep, and she was a male, who was the son of the nomarch of the Oryx. So back in that time, during the 11th dynasty, as happens, the kings, pharaohs had become despots, depraved. The people were suffering, they were poor, ill-treated, they had no rights. And so the eyes of Horus, or the companions of Horus, Shamsu-Hor, whatever we choose to call them, incarnated en masse at that time, as they do. Same as in the time of Yeshua and now. So the leader of the Eyes of Horus was called Roidan, and he lived in the Nome of the Hare. And his companions who helped him with all of this, including Ra-Ab-Hotep, who was the son of the nomarch, lived on the other side, on the east bank, in the Nome of the Oryx. So they had this, and it took many years. They had a plan to overthrow the 11th dynasty and replace Menhet, who was to become pharaoh, with Amen-Emhet, who became Amen-Emhet the first. So there were many of the companions of Horus alive at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But having told you that, I began to feel later, I began to think. So the Nome of the Hare and the Nome of the Oryx, what if the Nome of the Oryx was where Akhenaten went to build Amarna? Like obviously his mother, father, the Aten, shimmering light of all, guided him to there. But why? Anyway, when I did some research to find out where the Nome of the Oryx actually was, it was in Minya. It's in Minya. And it's where he built Akhenaten. So it was the Nome of the Oryx. And on the opposite bank, where the leader of the companions of Horus, the Eyes of Horus was, the leader, was the Nome of the Hare on the opposite bank. And that's where Hermopolis is, where the temple of Thoth was, Jehuti. And this is unique, apparently, to the Nomes of the Hare. They were all high priests of Jehuti.
Yeah.
So again, you've got Jehuti always comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, I mean, how many times, is it a coincidence? I don't think so. So I believe that all of those souls who were the companions of Horus in the 12th dynasty reincarnated again into the 18th dynasty, especially into the time of Akhenaten and family.
Yes. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. As Trevor said, that's the first time that I hear about that correlation with the presence of them with as priests also for Akhenaten. And when you were talking about the ark, I remember when I was in Egypt. I was living in Luxor in West Bank, actually, in front of the Red Mountain for 2 years. Yes,
That's
and
where Alessandra is now, just so people know. Alessandra also lives on the West Bank. That's how I met her there. Just to add that in.
exactly. And those 2 years were or of pure connection, of course, not only with Akhenaten, yet also with other beings and consciousnesses that live there underground of the mountain, Stargates. Lot of lot of things going on there. A lot of things going on there. They would come and visit me every day, every night. It's like, okay, you're here. Come on, let's chat.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would just listen, like some bells, like tingling, and then I would say like, okay, they're here. So yeah, I would go and have my conversations with them. But anyway, so I was very fortunate to dive into many parts of the desert that are not known, that barely no one goes to. That they're in the desert, you need to go with the specific groups. They don't allow you to go by yourself. Not only to the back part of the Valley of the Kings, for the ones that that won't know what the Red Mountain is where the Valley of the Kings and the Queens are. So it is this huge, massive place for Stargates, beyond the connection underground with other beings and so forth. So, and behind, they don't allow you to go, which is like the plenty, like all of the desert, like all you can see is rocks, desertic rocks in many shapes. And I had the opportunity to go to several places and see through the eyes of Akhenaten. Of course, the landscape was different, but there were things we know, the frequency of the memory, it's imprinted there. So as I would go through the desert, I would go seeing through his eyes. And one of the things that he told me, because there is a very specific alignment with the city, the golden city that has recently been discovered, Malcata, the Malcata Palace, and then all the way behind. Well, I have been all the way behind the desert, and there are in very specific rock formations where there are still things there. But I do also, what I was saying, one of the things that I received is that while he was still there in Thebes, he received the message that he needed to move the capital when he became pharaoh to Amarna, well, Akhenaten. And there were many reasons for that, not only due to the anomalies that the electric current of that land has, or that was already there before he went there. He also needed to take the ark to a safe place due to all the things that would be happening, to protect the ark. And that's why he created the steles around that place, the boundary steles that are called, for the ones that doesn't know what the boundaries stela are these huge, let's say, monoliths of like these huge stones carved in the mountain that have very specific prayers and images of Akhenaten, Nefertiti, and his children. And they are praising or rising prayers as how it is related to the Aten. And energetically for me, and also this is a very important message, that the Aten also meant the plasma also coming, that they were generating, not only coming from the sun, yet the plasma that was meant to be protected coming from the Ark of the Covenant. And if actually you look at the prayers, I will read that later. I will just want also to look how what you all think about this. But if we see the prayers in the stelas, he even says constructing, in other words, of course, a house for the Aten, like meaning this huge primordial force of life that was held through the Ark of the Covenant. And we know that he had a lot of technology. He even had a lab in Serabit El Hadim. Did anyone had an opportunity to go to Serabit El Hadim?
You know.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Have you been there?
No, but I know what was there.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I haven't been there either, but it sounds like, I mean, a lot of what you're saying is ringing true, especially. Well, we went to Malcata actually. Alessandra gave me an awesome tour there, which is really an interesting point to bring up too. Maybe we can get into a little throughout this conversation, but yeah, Zahi, Dr. Hawass, he's bringing all this attention to Malcata now, and he's like you say, he's calling it the Golden City, and you know, all of this as we're having these huge breakthroughs from some of my friends in Italy there up at Giza. But yeah, he's not wrong necessarily to bring attention to this, because this is a very interesting piece of history. This is part of what's tying Akhenaten actually to Luxor, Thebes, a different location than Amarna, which, as Alessandro was saying, this is Minya is the district where Tel El Amarna is, or Akhenaten. Those are both kind of words for his kingdom that he set up there. So yeah, the Malcata was amazing, interesting stuff that at least at some point in this conversation, I'd like to ask Alessandra to say a little more about that. There's more being uncovered there now too, all over the West Bank of Luxor. And we've talked a lot about um, the Theban hills and what else is under there. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, Sean was there also in Malcata. Remember when we met Sayed?
Yeah.
Back to the
Yeah, it's such a powerful place. Such a powerful place. For the ones that don't know, Malcata is known as a palace where Akhenaten lived in his first years. Alessandra will also have more to say about that. But yeah, all these. I don't know if you have felt all that way, but we all have been, well, you and Trevor have been in Amarna as well. But if you compare the frequencies that there are in Amarna and in Malcata, for instance, when you reach Amarna, there is so many veils to remove to connect actually to the information that is underground. It's like if energetically, like an energetic bomb had collapsed on the land, and to reach into the information, I had to the core of it, I had to remove layers, layers, and layers of distortion that actually can be translated also in the distortion of the story of Akhenaten. You know, a lot of, but yeah. Do you want to say anything about Amarna? I mean, about Malcata, the palace where we went to meditate.
Can you refresh me, because we went to like 20 places. Yeah, we meditated a lot of places. Can you a little more content?
The
Yeah.
one Yeah, and I named Sayed, right? Like if there was just one Sayed.
Yeah, there's two sides.
No, meditating with Syed. All right, you just described it.
Which one?
Yeah. Most guys in Egypt are named Syed or Ahmed. Probably about 50% of them at least. And most places you go are meditation spots. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, it would take me longer. I can refresh you right now. In the meantime, if you want to share, Alessandra, about Malcata, perhaps that will refresh also your mind.
Oh, okay. So what I was saying to Trevor in the short time we were there, because we went at duskish, so we didn't have a lot of time. I walk there often because I just love to go there. And I sit on what remains of the bricks of Akhenaten's palace. So one day, and this is something to do with what you were relating, Issa. One day I was sitting there on the bricks and I closed my eyes and I could see Akhenaten walking down the steps into a tunnel and into the mountain. And it's not a long, long way, but I could see him going down the steps from his palace through a tunnel and into the mountain. And like you were saying, like it's a whole other world. Like, yes, it's a Stargate, and it also has the Akhet, but it's a huge, huge Stargate. And there are so many beings in there from this world and other worlds, other dimensions. But again, I feel like Djibouti is like oversees what happens there. And I also saw, like, it was like a big spinning globe of the earth. I could see that. And I'd never seen that movie. I think it's Doctor Strange. I'd never seen it. But a couple of years later, my husband Muhammad was watching this movie, Doctor Strange. And suddenly, here's this globe, like just hanging in the middle of the room. And I went, oh, that's it. There's one like that inside the mountain. Down.
Yeah,
so there's so much happening there. And like everything else, they don't want us to know.
Yeah. I have a story that I want to share. I was once walking with a brother for me. He was the one that took me to every part of the desert that is barely known, even to Napta Playa. He took me all the way to Napta Playa. And one day we would go often, and we were there for the sunset. So he was preparing everything, and he told me, go ahead, walk, because I wanted to go to a very specific place that was calling me. I know that there are a lot of things on there and related to them, mainly to Nefertiti. I won't say, it's nothing related to her body. No, other things. And and as I was walking there, I saw first fox, those tiny ones, cute ones, looking at me. And then I say, who are you? And then he went playfully running in the same direction that I was heading to. And then I had to climb a little bit up to go to the place that I was going to give a gift there, coming from precisely Amarna, a huge alabaster heart-shaped crystal in a very specific cave. So as I was climbing up, I saw a coyote, and then I said, ooh. And then it stared at me, and I said, will you allow me to go? And immediately he left. he went on the same direction that I was meant to go. So then I started moving forward, climbing up. And by the time that I reached the top, I heard like, and like when something, like a coyote is beaten. And then I look down to see what was there. And there was a black wolf. And this black wolf is very famous. He's being related to Anubis, and there the people in the village talk a lot about the wolves, and that there is a very specific wolf that comes every once and then. And so I looked at it and I said, I'm here. Like, I'm here. It's like, shall I run? It's part of it. So then I went to the cave. Anubis kept into like following his pathway into his own cave. And yeah, I did what it was meant to do. But why I wanted to share this story is because the desert is alive and so vibrantly alive. Every rock, every particle of sand, the air, the animals that are there, the stories that we listen through the air. It's so alive. And sometimes when we think about desert and what happened after the last cataclysm, we related it to death. It's like there was before a lot of green and a lot of water and of course there are different kinds of atmospheres. However, the desert is showing to us, as how I see it and as how I have received also with messages of Akhenaten, is that that's what's showing to us what happened to the heart of Egypt, that at some point it became dry. It's not that it's not alive, it's quite alive and quite intense. It's very important to bring in the waters again, which is the truth, the transparency of the emotions of the who I am, and yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, definitely. It's yeah, there's spirits there in certain parts of the land that are waking up, it seems, and coming back and helping other people wake up and stuff. Um, it's yeah, I'm thinking just about speaking a little bit more to some of the basics of Akhenaten because we're already kind of jumping into some of the areas around him that are more obscured and far less people know. But just to say something about who he really was for starters, um, it's like Alessandra says when she first saw him, she had a reaction, and that's a very common theme. The first time someone sees a statue of Akhenaten, they have a reaction like, "What is going on with this guy?" Because the Egyptians were absolute masters at copying the exact facial features, the physiognomy of the structure of the pharaoh's faces. They could reproduce them exactly. And when you see Akhenaten, you realize he has these features that are not like any other person in Egypt. Very curved, like womanly hips almost. A lot of people don't know what to make of his physical features. And so it's kind of shocking, and it has that effect of like I don't know, people realize there was something different about him, quite obviously, and then all of his statues are like 12 feet tall or 10 feet tall. So yeah, you have to wonder what's going on with that. Why, um, he was something different. But yeah, we also had like a little owl came and visited us while we were there too. Um,
Yeah.
Mm.
a little bit so cute.
Yeah, I was wondering what
I
you
don't
guys think of
uh,
the connection between like Akhenaten and Nefertiti and the elongated skulls and like pointing to like the constellation of Sirius and some other possible like long skulls around the planet that exist that connect to places like that. And like a lot of or if you were going into different star origins of DNA, a lot of Egypt points to both, like, with Orion's belt and Sirius and the Pleiades, and the Key of Solomon pointing to a point of in the Pleiades, and some others. Like in the center with Sagittarius. Any thoughts on that with what you discovered?
Yeah, well, it seemed like he was so unique physiologically that it's like, a lot of people say he was an ET, if any pharaoh ever was, or that he was from somewhere else, or that he was a soul that came in, at least from that was unique in some way. A lot of people think it was about restoring a genetic blueprint, which is maybe similar to Christ also. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm sorry. You're muted, Trevor. We cannot hear you.
oh, am I?
Now we can. Now we can.
Yeah, no, sorry, you can keep going. Sorry.
Well, I was saying that I was last week talking to Brian Forrester. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking. Sean was in the other. He was putting another image of the
chat.
and I was seeing you moving your mouth, but it's in the replay. So I thought that you were speaking. Okay. So, and I was talking to Brian Forrester about, the Paracas skulls and the elongated skulls, not only there, but also in Egypt. He also has a very remarkable research. He has been talking to Yusuf I1. He also knew at some point Hakim I1, and it's like there has no like skeleton evidence of the elongated skulls that we know, at least not disclosed. But we do have the statues, which are quite evident, of the daughters of Akhenaten, that elongated skull. If you see all the headdresses that they use, you can say, yeah, it was just part of the fashion, like, and like in France, for the Louis.
Yeah,
They have all these huge wigs.
hairstyle.
Yeah, no, this is different. They didn't want to look taller. At least they were, like covering their elongated skull. And even, and we could go even the different kind of headdresses, what they represent. But I did share this with you, Trevor. A friend of mine, of us, sent to me an image of some artifacts that have been found here in Mexico that are made of jade, and the tribes that have found them, they want to be very, very cautious about it. They don't want to share it yet, but they have the same headdress that Nefertiti used. And even nowadays, here in Mexico, there is also a celebration, a holiday that recently happened, and there are these like these guises that people use, the chinelos, and they are representing the Spanish, but they have the headdress as the one that Nefertiti used, the same, So why I'm bringing this up is that the elongated skulls were all over the world, and what we know as something merely Egyptian or merely Peruvian or merely Mexican or Mesoamerican, it's not. It was all connected. And I do feel that Akhenaten, one of its main purposes through the unity consciousness, was precisely bringing the benefits of that. For instance, he never condemned the figures of Isis or Osiris or Horus at all. He just took the power from the priests that were actually benefiting selfishly from the people, because they were making it a religion as an institution as it is nowadays. He was just bringing in the clarity that there was no worshiping, there was no need for worshiping another force as an external force, and those foundations um, of consciousness, you can see it in the galactic beings, because the separation becomes what actually happens in the moment that the humans believe that they are not cosmic and that the galactic community is something aside of them, and then they portray them as gods. So I do believe that Akhenaten was like the last member of the galactic community, along with Nefertiti, and then he was truly through the teachings that he went through of the Senians and the mystery schools. He was truly trying to bring back that again into Egypt, into ancient Kemet, to restore it. And even technology, like we were talking about Serabit El Hadim in Sinai, and I do believe that actually the story that is said about them, about him and Moses, that them being the same person. For me, I don't know what you think about that. I would love to know what you think about that. But for me, it's like, again, like trying to make all the heroes into one direction, and actually you have the figures, the statues of Akhenaten very clear, his physiognomy, so Akhenaten was one person. And I do believe that he embraced the 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 Hebrews at some point, because his father did, was with him, working with them. So he tried to put them at another level, at an equal level. And yeah, I can go forward, but before going into that, because there have been findings in Amarna, very interesting findings. So before going there, I would love to know what you think about that. Like,
Well, maybe first of all, I would address the first things you were talking about with the elongated skulls and whatnot, which I think there have been a lot of elongated skulls probably discovered in Egypt, but they're in Peru, they actually let people study them and talk about them. In Egypt, it's all they get swept away. That's the kind of stuff that just disappears. And it's important to say that Nefertiti and Akhenaten have never been discovered. They've never found the tombs. We don't have their skulls to analyze. Tutankhamun, whose real name was Tutankhaten, I think we all understand, because this has to do with the Amun priest, were the ones falling into this darkness and corruption. So that's what he was correcting when he came in. And by the end of his life, they killed him and took back over power again. So that was part of the legacy. But Tutankhamun may have actually had an elongated skull himself, somewhat, a little bit, like not super, but yeah. You see them in the reliefs too. Sorry, and in the statues as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of that, and I think there probably have been skulls found there that just haven't been seen. But yeah, I don't know. There's more I could say on that, but I'd like to see what Alessandra thinks about that.
The elongated skulls?
Well, all of what
Oh.
was just said.
All of the above? Huh? Well, and this is just me. I don't like, if you look at the skull of Tutankhaten and others, or Jehuti Ankhaten, and others of the family, you don't really see what you would call elongated skulls. And I believe that Akhenaten actually was like not so tall in real life. I really believe that he was trying to show to the future what Sean was talking about, the off-planet history. I'm like serious, of the beings who came before that added their DNA. I don't believe that he was that tall and had, the hips that he had. And I believe he was just showing to people, like, for those who have eyes to see, this is our history. this is where we came from, whether it's Sirius or Sirius and Orion, combination of the two. This is the history.
Yeah, I think there's something with understanding that, ETs interacting on Earth, it's people need to open up more to the concept that a soul is a soul and a soul can incarnate as a human being, things like that. So it's not cut and dry like, okay, he was an alien and he landed on the planet and told the world whatever. But he was a soul that was very special and it seemed he was coming to tell something specific.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, a lot of souls come from different places. There's Stargates to bring souls that connect to specific stars, like the Great Pyramids connect to the Orion constellation, and then there's Egypt is a big star map. There's ones for Cygnus, ones for Sirius, all that. So it's a big like Waygate airport for souls to incarnate into bodies. So it's really nice. But also going into like people that have decrypted ancient civilizations like Sumeria with Anton Parks, going into describing a lot of their gods being like the Anunnaki, having like some type of it's like some super hybrid race of the majority of like clusters of hybrid races from like a marriage of royal families from Sirius B and an Orion empire combining together and then introducing their genetics to us. Species that already exist here. Some other interesting avenues and rabbit holes. Yeah, and the different long skulls that exist around the planet and some that still exist. Homo capensis is one of the long skull kind of type of humanoids that has a lot of the elite or some of the royal families have more of their genetics. Yeah, there's some weird history to cover, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, Brian's been doing some great work on it. When I first went to Peru, I was one day too late. I missed him at the Paracas Museum. He had just left, but I got to see all the skulls he was working on there. And yeah, we could say right off the bat, a lot of people think this is all skull binding. No, that's not the case. There's
No.
very clear differences. Much like crop circles, it's very easy to tell the real ones from the fakes, and there certainly are fakes, of course. Or there's emulating the gods by doing skull binding, but that's clearly
Yeah.
not the original. They were emulating the look of this other race that was among them. And yeah, the big giveaway is usually the cranial sutures. Some of the real ones don't have either of the two cranial sutures. Some of them have one big dome plate, and it's like, this was weird seeing this. Um,
Yeah.
Definitely not just binding the skull, and you can't increase the brain capacity that way either. So,
Exactly.
uh,
Exactly. For instance, you were talking about I like to refer to him as Tutankhaten, or Tutankhaton, because that was his original name. I do respect that he chose Tutankhamon, but yeah. But anyway, his
yeah.
skull.
I don't think he
Uh,
chose. Sorry.
no, yeah, I agree. And
I might just say, explain that a little bit is that after Akhenaten was killed, yeah, the Amun priest basically took over, but Tutankhamun,
yeah,
he was a child and he let them put that Amun title back on his name because he didn't have a
yeah,
choice, really. He was a young boy. But
yeah,
in truth, I believe he was loyal to his father in the Aten religion, which is why he really would have preferred to have kept his original name. And we do still see it in his tomb on his throne.
yeah,
It's
and
in Khaten.
yes, yes. And speaking of which, which is very interesting, Nefertiti is also shown with headdresses of Ammon, not because they are from Ammon, but because those headdresses are related to the host of Amenti, because they are codes embedded within the host of Amenti as very specific key points of deeper information of what the host of Amenti is. You can see that headdress in the stela, in the most famous one that they take a lot of people to, which are like the two fountains or two feathers, and it's the headdress that Amon used, well, the one that he mostly used. But Amon took that name from the host of Amenti, as I remember, as I have, like tuned into very specific information. So for me, she was also trying to purify, to remove attachments from the original record that then was used to access to that power for very specific purposes, and that on one thing. And on the other aspect, for instance, when we talk about the openness of Akhenaten to other Neteru, or well, to Neteru themselves, he even had I call that his lab. I will explain why. In Serabit el Hadim, it also has a temple for Hathor, and so he was truly into the Neteru, but in a different way. They also found a temple for Isis in Amarna, like just like one fragment, I think, like just a small piece, but it was there. And why I refer to that as his lab in Serabit el Hadim is this place that if we see in lines in the map, Amarna is, we would say, like at the same level of Serabit el Hadim in Sinai and around, so, and so it would be very much likely that he could have been traveling from one point to another. Even there is water, in between those two portions of land. And there was found a very specific powder, white powder there in flagstones, which is the MFKZT or Mufkust. And they, like, the translation of this is volatile and powerful. So
like similar to the Ormus or Mana or the monoatomic gold.
Yeah. The starfire, Shamana.
I've got something pretty interesting about that, actually. That was yeah, it's like I'm hesitant to bring out any screen sharing or even get into that because there's enough to just talk about. But I have this video, actually, it's a short video of what's called Tibur. Have you ever heard of that? Tibr, it's called Tibur. Tibur. I can't pronounce it. This was when I was there a few months ago.
No.
It's got a couple names, but my friend I was staying with, he told me that he had just been informed about this tomb that had been discovered by people he knew, and they found tons of this stuff in there. They gave him a little bit to show me, but it's like these tiny little, it's not white, but it's like tiny, super fine, round beads of gold, supposedly. But it's in such small particles, it's like I don't know. I could try and show you the video of it quick, if I can screen share, but
yeah, it's ready for you.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let me see. So it's like, I don't know, they could have used it to like oh, let me just do a portion of the screen. Melt it down to make small statues or something like that. Sorry, I'm trying to click on it. Here we go. Oh, okay. This is some of it. It's like these very, very fine. That's my finger. That's how fine it is. But they're like transparent.
Yeah, exactly.
So we found some of this. They gave him a sample of it, and he showed it to me, and Yeah, he actually gave me that little bit of it. I have it with me still. It was a sample basically because some of these people were trying to sell it. And I was like, oh, I don't know,
And
but I would love to have a sample of that to actually look at it. And my friend was asking if I could get it tested, see what actually it is made of. But this was found in all these jars in a like a royal tomb in Amarna in Minya, like right. I don't know
Uh,
exactly, but in this area of Amarna, the greater area. So
mm,
yeah, that's something I'm looking into. But I've definitely looked into the white gold, the powdered monoatomic gold was so central to all of this, and especially to like the Anunnaki and preserving life. You know, it had powers to be ingested and extend life if you knew what you were doing with it, if it was in the right dosage and stuff. But
Yeah, are you guys in the habit of taste testing random things you find in temples? Yeah, I do that sometimes.
when I went to Ceramic Had I found some of that dolls, and I was trying to see if it was that, because they said that
people
they
do that.
recently found,
Yeah,
like a couple of years ago, they still found of
I'm
that powder.
spiritually I'm getting off it that it can do something to your DNA, but yeah, be cautious. Do your thing.
A lot of people do that. A lot of people go up and they touch the temples and just lick it and eat it. And they think it will give them some kind of power, give them the energy of that temple.
Eat
I mean,
responsibly.
sure,
The
yeah.
mummy dust. Eat responsibly.
Eat your temples responsibly. Um, some people think it's actually what's causing some of the weathering on the sides of the temples, or some of those whatever they call it, the marks that look like they're, someone just stuck their finger in and ran it through. That you see on some of those temples, but I don't think that's what caused that. But
Yeah,
it's some people do that. But
Yeah.
consuming the actual ormus, like the white gold, and you will see this all over, and it is also associated with the ark, like you're talking about. And the
mm,
ark, by the way, is also associated, I believe, with the Essenes may have been the ones moving that to where it ended up going, very likely in my mind, taking it to Ethiopia, perhaps in that ancient time where I think it may have stayed at least until Graham Hancock wrote his book about it, possibly. But I think they would have had to have moved it at that point, and it might even be back in Egypt now. I've got some ideas about, but I think there are also multiple different arcs, and there's certainly like it seems to have been a power source of some type that would have been used with the Great Pyramid potentially.
yeah,
That seemed like it would fit right into the box there. Um, or one of them may have. So yeah, I don't know. People say the Arca might have had this white powder in it. Some people say that powder was found in some of the Serapeum boxes as well. That it had something to do with levitation also.
Yeah, I
Um,
can confirm that. I made it myself. You put it in the freezer, in like the liquid form, the icicles move upward, and also if you change it in different temperatures, it can disappear entirely or and then phase back. And the same thing with the alchemical process. And there's like it levitating and passing through metal. So that stuff is crazy,
yeah,
and
it's
especially at a high rate of speed.
I've heard it associated with the term Vimana, from India, a levitating craft, and that the Sumerians also used the word Shimana to describe the same things. They've got mana in it. And of course, yeah, it's like in the Exodus, they're talking about mana from heaven, something that was sustaining them. But it is, I think, derived from an alchemical process, which is very, very complex to get it to its full potency and to be something where you could actually consume it and potentially live indefinitely in a single body, pretty much like
Different M states. There's
yes,
way more states of gold than people realize. The green gold, the red dragon, the red line. There's more than the pure octable, and then what it reacts to. And when you charge it with plasma, there's people have tried making free energy devices out of it. And if you charge it up, it does things like what you're talking about with levitation. So it can. And the same thing with red mercury too. Like there's some crazy stuff going on with different elements when you add different compounds outside of the pure octables. Uh, just what goes more into the world of alchemy instead of just chemistry.
yes. You know, now that you were talking about this, you said it's like before Akhenaten became pharaoh, all the power of the arcs, because we also see like different kind of um, let's say powerhouses, shrines that were put that were collocated in the shrines, and that we see in the hieroglyphs like the Neteru.
Oh.
I shall make the sun temple, the mansion of the Aten, my father in the island of the Aten. So he also talks about an island. And yeah, I could continue reading. There is a lot of the code on this. I have decoded a lot on this and other stelas. But what I mainly mean is that here for me it makes perfectly sense that he's talking about fundamental force of life, which can have a lot of technological usage and benefits, you know, for humanity and for his people. So, and creating a place for that shrine, and even in that stele, you see an arc. You see an arc.
I actually, maybe I could share a picture of,
Sure.
I have one image of myself for scale at least to see this. Let's see. Oh, okay. Whoops. Um, so yeah, can you see this? Whoops. It's not letting me adjust the size. Okay. Yeah, this is one of this. Can you see this?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes. Yes.
It's huge. And this is the one at Tuna Gebel, but I think there's 14 of these different boundary stelas that he put, or if not more, all around the kingdom of Amarna. So yeah, and you can see his strange body type here with Nefertiti behind him, and then these tiny versions of, his children or followers. I'm not sure. But yeah, there's actually something here that almost looks like it could be similar to an arc kind of idea. And you see the Aten, is always expressed as the sun, um, being this obviously a perfect symbol of the universal creative source of the universe, all life. And you always see it handing out with these hands, like the rays coming off with hands that have the Ankh in them often. And it's the Aten giving life to him and Nefertiti and his family. And then you have this whole passage of hieroglyphs that's explaining this is the kingdom of Akhenaten. Um, so yeah, just for a visual on what you're talking about, it's really awesome to hear you read parts of one of them. I don't know which one it is, but I think these were all describing his story.
It's the biggest one. It's the biggest one. And you know, also something very, very interesting that they have been found so far 16. They are all surrounding the main city, and they have named them after letters of the alphabet, making implicit that there are 26 through all the letters of the alphabet, because they start with A and they go skipping the letters depending, for instance, A, B, F, H, you know, K, L, I, you know, like then going all the way to R, S, O, and then they finish. But it's like they know that there are 26, and 26 in gematria is another fundamental number. That's why even Yahweh is the gematria for Yahweh, you know, for the name of Yahweh. So there is a lot of knowledge that is connected. I mentioned to you that there is an author, Karim. His name, he's Lebanese, and his name is, I will tell you now. His name is Karim El Kousa, and he has several books, and in one of his books, he relates not only the Jesus to be Phoenician because he relates the Phoenician to be Essenes, you know?
Or at least a faction. Because I know there's
Yes.
also the dark faction and the people that made the the English language.
Yeah. 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 You know, there is a lot, and even the Templar cross, because there is the island of Malta, you know, and they have the cross of Malta, and it's very close to Lebanon and to yeah, but anyway, that's another topic.
Ooh, and that goes into the thing that Trevor brought up, where like the Akhenaten faction, the Scythians, this royal family, that this connection, what you were saying, the Peruvians, the Scotland, Ireland, Nova Scotia, and fleeing to those back to those places, that there's a connection to an ancient mystery school that like would be like secret orders of people that knew things, the original Hebrews, or the original like ones that carried that language, the people that knew ancient astronomy, astrology, the grid lines, geomancy. You could imagine like secret wizard schools that existed in various places that then got destroyed over time. That this seems to be connected to, and also these lineages with like what you're saying of son of Thoth, or the Thoth lineages, or these lineages of gods from Atlantis, and the wars between them, and the dynasties, and what they continue into now in passing their genetics down to us, because like pretty much everyone that's human hails from some origin that could be called a lower G god, of like, you know, like Ptah, Huti, Ra, the different lineages in Mexico, like with Quetzalcoatl, and the different dragon lineages of Asia, that, you know, there's like different genetic introducers that like have like this thing, this chess game from higher dimensions playing out among us today. If anyone wants to comment on it.
Yeah. Well, there have always been good initiates as well as bad, I think. You know, there have always been secret schools of the righteous ones that are aware of what's going on, and there's always been a kind of balance, but it's kind of an ancient war that I think, yeah, you're hitting on it. It's bigger than our world, I think, but our world is involved in it. To be honest, if we want to go there, I mean, I think there's a lot of evidence for that, but
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I would love to ask each one of you, of us, to say some words for the audience, you know, based on the connection, the very special connection that each one of us have with the topic that brought us here together. It has been a wonderful time. We have been talking for around 2 hours and 30 minutes. So
What?
yeah, just I would
Oh.
love to keep on sharing with you. I'm quite sure that we will have another opportunity. So yeah, it's also getting late for Alessandra. So yeah, we will definitely find another time to continue sharing about this and many more topics. They can just flow, flow, flow. So yeah, Alessandra, what would you like to say to the audience?
Oh, what would I like to say? Really, and it sounds very simplistic, but for everybody, where possible, to just come out from here to being here. The heart, you know, unity consciousness is all about living in the heart, acknowledging that we are all children, doesn't matter the skin, the religion, children of our mother, father, shimmering light birther of all. And that's all there is. We are all one. Everything else is false perception. And really, if we could just remember that. Remember that we are all one. There's nothing out there, and to accept responsibility for our lives. There is nothing out there that is doing something to us. That's a big thing, taking responsibility for our life. What happens in our life? Nobody ever does, in this part of the teachings, Akhenaten and down to Yeshua, nobody ever does anything to us. And nobody really is a victim. We all need to take responsibility for what happens in our life. And we need to return to our hearts and move out of our mind, our head, into the monkey mind. It doesn't serve us. That we really just need to remember we are all one. All of us. You know, there's different bodies. Like, there's your body, everyone. It's me. And we all come from different star systems and lineages, but there's only one mother, father, shimmering light, birther of all. Only one. We can't comprehend that, but there is only one source of all, and we are all their children. And it behooves us to begin to get on in the world, you know, and to recognize there's no separation except, you know, there is no separation. Anyway, thank you. Sorry if I'm waffling on.
Thank you. Thank you
for joining us.
Yes.
Trevor, you have any inspirational words for our audience? And then also we'll have you guys give your information so people can reach you.
Yeah, well said, Alessandra. I think this was Akhenaten's message. This was Thoth Jehuti's message. This was Jesus, Yeshua's message. And I think the entire message of Egypt, it's not about Akhenaten or anyone specific. It's about who it's really about is you when you go to visit. It's about Egypt is telling you who you are. And the central message of unity of all things, the central unity of all life in the universe. I totally agree with Alessandra. This is at the very heart of what it's actually saying. Is it's about what we can apply into our own understanding of who we are and how we are a part of this bigger thing. And when you go to Egypt and when you start looking at Akhenaten and this whole story, you know, and I'm talking about these monotheistic religions popping up later because of what he had done, but I don't really mean those religions. You know, today we see the religions built on the prophets' names and they're misinterpreting and gatekeeping these messages. I'm speaking about the actual messages of the inspired prophets, the real message that, you know, Jesus, Yeshua, he said the same thing as Akhenaten. He said, we are all one, we are all connected to this divine source. It's about, exactly as Alessandra said, living out of the heart is a different intelligence than what you have in the brain. It's a different way of operating, rather than, you know, and I was just talking to Money Safe today about who is my favorite. I mean, this conversation I just had with him, in two parts. One half is already out and one coming out this Sunday. We really spoke about, you know, he said there is this other thing, other intelligence from the heart. Drumville Melchizedek, he talks a lot about that too, living in the heart versus, you know, living in the head. And it's a different intelligence that you live from when you're intuitively tapped into what's going on. And when you start to, if you're trapped in the rational, you know, mind just looking at things analytically and not I don't know, feeling into it at all, opening yourself up to the energies and the some of the topics and ideas that go outside of the comfort zone of a lot of people. They're limiting themselves based on what the, you know, cognitive dissonance, basically, like what's too far outside the realm of their worldview to actually accept as even a possibility. But I think, yeah, you're both helping open this conversation up, and it does have to blend over into the side of extraterrestrials and ufology, and actually taking all the potential seriously into the debate, because there is something about Amarna and Akhenaten that is pivotally crucial to our entire human story, to the entire lineage of these later prophets, messiahs, even Lao Tzu or Confucius and Leonardo da Vinci, like I say, Nikola Tesla, all of these things are connected. And these are people who also gave us, you know, a type of vision of what it takes to actually unlock that within yourself, open your third eye, connect to the source. And, you know, the Egyptians, I think, had a science out of this. And this is what both Jehuti, the teachings, are actually about. It's a science of opening up that inner knowledge where you connect to the mind and memory of the universe itself, ultimate knowledge, the Akashic field, all these things we hear about. So anyway, I'm with Alessandra on this. It is about finding unity and oneness, what the Egyptians called the return to source doctrine, and the unification and yeah, balancing all opposing forces to reach an understanding of yourself that actually allows you to, I don't know, bring back some of this knowledge that was here back then and move humanity forward collectively when we tap into that individually. So I also just want to thank all three of you for setting this up and joining. I'm so glad we got the technical stuff worked out. And
Yes.
Alessandra, you did so great, working all week to try and make sure you could get a connection. So I'm so glad you were able
Thank you
to.
for helping.
Yes, my pleasure, our pleasure, for sure.
So thank you for the kind words. Alessandra, can you tell people how people can reach
Sorry.
you, or follow you, or
Wait. Your words.
Sorry.
Your words.
Oh,
Sorry.
no problem. Can you tell people how people can reach you, get a hold of you, or your projects coming up, or books, or anything you want to mention for the audience?
Oh, well, actually, I wasn't sure that we could manage to sort out all those technical difficulties, but Jehuti worked a bit of magic, I think, with the help of Akhenaten.
Yes, definitely.
Start with a view to that. But also, if we did manage to connect, I started a group, and I've called it Akhenaten, Jehuti, Ancient Origins, and Lineal Descendants, which covers a lot of territory. But I thought it would open up a space where those who wish to could join together there to connect a lot of dots and kind of help to bring the puzzle together, to create the bigger picture. And like a heart space with no ego, no antagonism, no disrespect, just okay, that's your point of view, and I respect that. Just coming together in a heart space and sharing, because all of this is so important, what we are talking about and what we are remembering. So anyway, I've started that group and I've invited some friends, and I thought maybe if you guys wanted to share the group.
Sure.
And I don't know, do you know, like when I started the group, I put Akhenaten, and then I put a star, and then I put Jehuti, and then I put a star. But when it came out on the page, the stars became question marks.
Oh.
And I can't find the group. So it's like, people are going to think, what's going on? But those question marks were supposed to be stars, and I can't get in to change the name. Do you guys know how to do that?
Maybe.
I help you.
Anyway, I won't waste your time here. Maybe you can, somebody could help me with that.
Yeah.
So please come and join, because we can extend this whole conversation.
Yeah.
And like there are so many other people with.
It can also be showing that it's a question mark, not as a doubt, yet as a whole story to be unveiled. And it's a question mark because there is nothing written yet.
The mystery school, right? Still being made in the know.
Yes.
I did try to look at it that way.
Yeah, I can also reach out to you later after you will figure it out. Everything is being given, and
or not.
Yeah, and you're being held by the force and consciousness of Akhenaten for sure. So
This group's
yeah,
on where? Facebook?
Facebook, yeah.
Okay, Facebook. Yep.
Yeah.
Same
How
stuff
about
we'll put in the description.
yeah, and how about you, Trevor? How can people
Reach
reach out to
you,
you?
books, conferences, events coming up, places you're going.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think it's great. Starting a Facebook group is a good idea because I think there are a lot of people who feel really a strong connection to the Amarna period and to Akhenaten. So it's a great idea to make a group and start. Everyone's trying to pull together on this. Everyone's remembering things in their own ways, and um, yeah, that's great. I think we could do more talks about this in the future. I'm certainly open to it.
Sure.
There's footage I could bring or share if we have want to do some more of that. You guys probably have photos and footage
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
deeper into it. I have my YouTube channel. It's just called Trevor Grassi. That's got all my work, my films and stuff are just on that channel. I do have my website I'm finally starting to use. It's called opusmagnum.org, but it barely has anything on it, but I'm just starting to build it up because I'm getting it on a private server finally after many years of not being able to use it at all. But yeah, I'm on Facebook sharing a lot. I have a group there called Opus Magnum Group. Um, but if anyone wants to actually contact me or reach out to me, they could do it that way. I'll definitely join Alessandra's group here. And yeah, we do have some, I don't know, there's so much coming up this year. A few conferences, my first few conferences I'm going to be doing. Um, the one is Cosmic Summit in about a month we're going to do in North Carolina. That's going to be a really exciting one. We're getting Armando and Filippo from the Khafre project are going to be there. I'm going to give a little introduction to them, and they're going to explain a lot more about their discoveries using the satellite
Awesome.
cards.
Awesome.
There are a few others coming up later in the year, some cool conferences, and many more interviews coming up, but a lot of that hasn't quite been announced yet, so I can't really say exactly, but there's a few more towards the end of the year. I'm working on setting up a tour for myself as well as potentially jumping on some other friends' tours if I can. But it's going to be an exciting year. A lot of stuff's going to be coming out. And yeah, by the end of the year, like December, the Khafre project, they're going to come out with another press conference in December, and they're going to explain all of what they're scanning the entire Giza Plateau right now. So we're going to get so much more from them by the end of the year at their next press conference, and
Oh, I can imagine.
so
They
much
found
more.
they found another Osiris, let's say Osiron, in but in the
I
by the
what
Red
you mean, like
Mountain,
a couple years ago or
Gebel.
two?
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, we lost there. She was going to say them. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, I'm sorry.
And we
Yeah,
just see that the Osiris shaft at Giza goes way deeper than anyone thought too. And yeah, tie that to the Osirian at Abydos and getting to scan some of these other locations, hopefully in the future.
I'm looking forward if they can do that scan on that area behind the Muslim cemetery. I'm quite sure that there's a spaceship there. You know, it's the first place that I went there. I know that it's like a huge, but you know, that's the first place that I went to when I was in Giza Plateau, and I stayed hours there, and it was this, yeah, many things been shown to me, many, and I have talked to very good friends that are, you know, like scientists, and yeah, they agree on this. Actually, yeah, they quite agree on this. So we'll see.
So, you got any books you're gonna write, or what are the conferences you're going to?
Cosmic Summit is next month. I'm gonna try and go to Brian's conference. I'm not gonna speak there, but I'm hoping we're gonna get to at least get me down there and hang out for that one.
I knew
Uh,
it. Hopefully, yeah.
I'm gonna do Yeah, I don't think the poster announcement is out. Well, I'm going to be doing the Pyramid Conference at the Pyramid House in Chicago in September. Um, which I don't know if you've heard of that. There's a guy built a replica of the Great Pyramid, and it's amazing place. But they do a pyramid energy conference there every year. I'm going to do that one, and yeah, the rest I don't think I can really talk about until they're a little more get the. But some of them are very, very exciting.
Yes, indeed.
So yeah, and then I have a book actually series that's absurdly it's like it's about 3,000 pages in total right now, and I'm trying to get the first volume of it published. I've actually got Manu Safe today looking at it right now. He's gonna get me some notes, which is
Nice.
he's like my absolute favorite of the person I trust most, and he's gonna if he can give me a structural analysis, at least of the basics of this book, I'm finally going to be ready to release it after like 20 years of writing. Like, just keeps
Oh,
growing and growing. But
congratulations.
try and get that one out this
Congratulations.
year at least.
Well, congratulations for all of that. And yeah, much more to come, definitely.
Hopefully we can sync
Yes.
up in different times when if you're in Egypt and we're in Egypt at the same time, or if you ever want to come down to Mexico, we got crazy stuff here, and it all
Um,
seems to connect to
well,
Egypt.
are you planning on going to Egypt anytime soon, or?
Yeah, next year, I feel that everything will be
And we're syncing up with
aligned into it.
other
Yeah,
groups.
yeah, exactly.
I'm setting up one other. Hopefully soon, I'm going to do a talk with my friend Marco Vigato. I don't know if you know of him. He's working at
No.
Mitla, the site Mitla.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Is one of the most
Amarna.
important
Yeah,
Mexican underworld entrances.
yeah.
He's doing an amazing project there. It's called the Arcs Project. You can look it up. They're doing these scans underground and seeing the entire extent of this huge underground network there. It's like the underground abode of the Zapotec kings, and it's always been known as like an entrance to the underworld, just like Giza, and he's doing amazing work uncovering that. And I
That's
know
cool.
we're going to be getting into Teotihuacan soon too. I've explored at least one tunnel under Teotihuacan that went pretty deep. That could have been just an aqueduct or something, but there's definitely a lot going on underneath there, obviously. So Mexico, yeah, I would like to get there soon, and Guatemala,
Yeah.
if I can.
Let us know whenever you come, and we can also take you to very unique places, very virgin kind of.
Exotic, and some of the artifacts we're finding has Egyptian hieroglyphs on it. So we'd love to get your perspective
Yeah,
on it.
I caught a little bit of what you were saying yesterday with who was it? Oh, you're talking to Brad Olson.
What else?
And
Yeah.
yeah, showing some of those. That's really cool. And I also, I mean, I know what's in it, like Josh Sisler and I don't know if you know them. Some other friends are also uncovering all these artifacts that have, Anubis and Egyptian hieroglyphs, and I'm just like, I don't know, but I've also, was at conference last year with Scott Wolter, who's like a forensic geologist, and he's looking at him with me, shoulder to shoulder, and he's taking it seriously, and like they've done a lot of testing on him, so I'm like, okay, well, certainly can't prove this isn't real, and they have similar things like you guys are
You come
finding.
here, you'll find the proof yourself. We'll run you
Yeah.
through some things
Yeah.
that will like blow your mind.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the stones that take the light in when you shine the flashlight, I've seen some of those and very interesting stuff. There's
Yeah.
some potentially Olmec pyramids I've got a lead on too they just look like hills. No one knows about them, but
Yes. Yes. I've seen now some of that. A lot of pyramids are coming into the surface, also in Guadalajara, and other places as well. But and
yeah.
a friend of mine, has a PhD in archaeology, Mayan archaeology, and he was invited to be in a program of David Lim in National Geographic, and they did some LiDAR on a lagoon, like it's in a remote area, Metzabok. I took him to that along with a group, and they found what seems to be pyramids in the very same shape like the Giza ones.
Cool.
Yes. So a lot of things coming up now. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
Well,
definitely let you know if I'm coming back to Mexico. It'd be fun. We could go see some stuff. I'd love to go back to Monte Alban. I think that might be one of my favorites. You know, Monte Alban.
beautiful.
Yeah, let us know, please. When it will be fun. Yeah, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Yes.
Did you want to say how people can reach you?
Yeah, and I just want to say, because yeah, I just want to say some words in relation to what we were talking about. Is that for me, what we know as evil is amnesia. Amnesia that deprives people or beings from the unity consciousness. The moment that we remember that we all come from the very same source, then there is no evil. So may we all come to remember progressively who we are, why we're here for, and acknowledge that the answer is simpler than what we believe. It's not full of adornments. It's just simple. We are love. What we know as love. We are bliss. And the more that we are coherent with ourselves, the more that the universe is coherent with us. So,
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, forgetting, lack, non-wholeness, overwhelmed with negative energy, separation, ego. Yeah, that leads to it. Yeah. How do people reach you?
Telepathically. Just kidding. Yeah.
Send an
as
owl.
well, but yeah, no.
Send an owl to her.
Yeah, no. Well, you can enter to my website. I will write the name of the website below because it's a little bit not in this language or anyone known. So and as well as my mail of nivision.hunuch at outlook.com. And yeah, you can check my media, Facebook, YouTube channel. This video will be uploaded in all my platforms. And we have an upcoming trip to Mexico in October and November. We will be going to many sites, Campeche, Yucatan, central Mexico, and also to a very specific land of Quetzalcoatl, where he was there for quite a long time, coming from one place to another.
His family of the dragon species is there.
Yeah, it's known as one of the places is Portal de Quetzalcoatl. But if you want to know more about the trip, just write to my email or his email, trip inquiry. Yeah, upcoming conference presentations. Full disclosure now, conference, Florida, and the alien event.
And people can buy tickets in the description. And some of the top videos, there's a discount code, 17% off. Full disclosure, movement.org is, I think, where you get the tickets.
Yes, I have been writing the discount that you can access to and the link where to buy your tickets. So we'll be adding it also to this video. You can access to my discount or to his, and yeah, you will see us there, and hopefully Trevor as well.
Yeah.
And yes,
say hello.
Yes,
summon some aliens with us.
And also, I'm sorry, what did you say?
I was talking to Brian about trying to go last year. He invited me to speak last year even, but yeah, if I can at least just go as I've got a friend I can stay with there, and so
we can talk about that later. I'll write to you.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do
You can figure it out. Yeah.
Well, it's usually the hotel that kills me. It's like the flight's okay, but yeah, I have a friend right near there. He said I could stay with him,
Oh,
Draco.
awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
Draco.
Yeah, so that could help a
Yeah.
lot. But Brian's trying to help me afford to get down there too. Is awesome. He's doing
Yes.
awesome work. I just did a
Yes.
really cool interview with him like a week ago or something that gets into the Romanian Sphinx. Really interesting stuff too. So
Yes.
yeah, I'm
Yes.
happy to support him, but maybe I'll speak there next year. We'll see. But I'll try and be there this year. It sounds like I can.
That will be awesome. And yeah, he's an amazing being. And it will be lovely to see you there. And yeah.
Definitely.
Um, then lots to talk about. Lots to talk about. So anyway, yeah, and you will see the level of energy, like flows there. It's like very high energy, a little bit of everything, but overall, like a lot of unity. So it's
Yeah.
it's it's amazing, amazing. And anyway, also the Alien event in Las Vegas in September. You can also get your tickets in the alienevent.com. I will be giving 2 presentations there. And yeah, so you can get
I
your
was
tickets.
also invited to that one too, but I didn't work that out either. I've kind of been hesitant to join the conference presentation route, but I at least like attending them. So I don't know, we'll see. But maybe I'll join that one next year too if I can. But yeah, it sounds good.
The thing is that with everything that you have been uncovering at this moment, you need a lot of energy. And so, and you are wise and you know it. So you also don't want to, like go all over it. You're taking your time, you're allowing yourself, so that's
Yeah.
very intelligent. That's very wise of you. So yes, yes. So looking forward, we wish we could assist to the ones that you're going to, but at least I know we will meet in the full disclosure now event.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds like
How about you?
I'm Sean Bond, founder of Sonic League, sonicleague.com, sonicleague@gmail.com. If you want to do the trip inquiry for the Mexico trip or other things like we're going to do in Egypt or Japan, some other places. If you're interested in those or other things you want, just let us know. We'll add to the email list to get updates. Yeah, I'll be at the Alien event, teach people telepathic communication for ET contact, as well as the Full Disclosure Now, fulldisclosuremovement.org. Get the tickets and the passcode in this video or some of the other live videos we did. Get it there. And yeah, we do mystical healing, clearing, deep possession, abundance upgrades. Got a lot of things in live shows you can tune into on that channel, Sonic League. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, X, all the other stuff. And yeah, look for new shows coming up. And we'll be doing meditations in the future and some other things that you can look forward to. And we got our shop up, so you can get some of the products like the abundant shirts and some other things, and we're starting to put more and more up. So look for that on like sonicleague.com. And thank you very much for coming on,
Thank you,
Trevor.
Trevor.
And honored to have you. Would love to have you on more. You packed full of knowledge. Oh my God. And yeah, feel free to upload that. We'll send you the copy or whatever to this, the nice edit we're gonna do for this video. And you feel
Yes.
free to upload that. Yeah,
well, thank
let's
you so
spread
much.
around your knowledge.
Yeah,
Get
thank you
this
so
out
much
there, everyone.
from me and Alessandra both. I know we lost her here at the end, but I'm sure she would also be saying thanks so much for having us both. It's been an awesome talk. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for all the information that you're bringing out. Thank you for exploring the Giza Plateau
Yeah.
at such a hardcore level.
Well, they're
I'm
not
going
bringing
to
it.
tell you later about my adventures. I also was there at night, sleeping there, but yeah, another topic. And yeah, I could see you there on the tunnels. I can see your passion for decoding and everything that you do, and that is inspiring. And I do believe that through inspiration is that actually we get to expand our message, not imposing or selling. It's more about inspiring. So thank you for inspiring a lot of people. And yeah, congratulations.
Hopefully by the end of this year, it'll be more about excavating than inspiring. But that's
It will. Yeah, you will move to the next stage. Yeah. Well, you can also do that. Well, yeah, we can talk about that later. We can definitely talk about that later. We are creating a huge network, and together we grow stronger for sure.
So everyone out there, smash that like, leave a comment, showing Trevor some love. Subscribe to Trevor Grassi's channel on YouTube and ours and YssaH's, and share this with 5 friends. Share this with people that love Egyptian stuff. Share this with people who love secret history. Get it out there, and the more we see that people like this, then we'll want more of these shows. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Love you all. Until next time.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye. Do more of these shows. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Love
Thank you. Love you.